Manage your collaboration with IIID using IIID Synergies. To use the IIID Synergies web application, first of all open your web browser. In the address bar, type labportal, all one word, .iiid.com.au. For this demonstration, I'm using Internet Explorer, but you can use the web browser of your choice. When IIID Synergies opens in your browser, you will see 4 menu items across the top, a large button, and then the main part of the page. Just quickly go through these 4 items across the top. The home page is the button that you are on to start with. About will give you some brief information about the IIID Synergies application. For more information about IIID, you can click on the Contact section and request more information, or alternatively go to our webpage, which is iiid.murdoch.edu.au. If you have previously applied for and been accepted for a login, you can click on the login page and type in your username and passwords, which would have been sent to you. Note that you cannot log in until you have been accepted. So although you may have a password, it will require someone at IIID with the appropriate authority to accept your login before you're able to do so. The Contact Us button is the same as Contact on the top. Going back to the home page, you can see there are 4 options to the right: Create a Project, My Projects, Projects Pending Approval, and Import Samples. But before you can do anything on IIID Synergies, you need to have a login. A new login can be created by clicking on the word Here on the home page. Once you do this, you are required to register your information. Fields marked with an asterisk, email address, first name, last name, are compulsory. Other fields are optional. I just type in an example here of how you would fill in this page. A researcher at your institution .edu .your country. Obviously, you would type in your own email address there. Dr. Researcher, top. And then you would type in these other contact details. Select your country. You need to type in this code here. If you cannot read these letters, you can click the refresh button to get a different set of letters. And continue to click the refresh button until you find a pattern that's easy for you to read, and then type them in the box below. If you happen to make an error, don't worry, it'll tell you that you entered the incorrect pattern and ask you to try again. FKDVR. When you click the register button, it will send an email to the email address that you provided on that page. It will also send emails to the appropriate personnel within IIID. The email which is sent to you will give you your username, which is your email address that you entered, plus a password. You, as I stated previously, cannot log in with this email and password until the appropriate person at IIID has enabled the account. Once you have a login, well, then you have access to these options on the right-hand side. So let's create a project. Create a project, click on the Create a Project button, type in your username. I'll use a registration test as my username. Type in your password and click login. Again, if you have not created an account, you can click on here to create a new account, which will need to be approved. As I said, the password would have been sent to you in an email. Once you've logged in, you then have the opportunity to create a new project. To do this, you again have to fill in the fields marked with asterisks. So the title of the project, exciting research, you need to either have ethics approval or explain to us that you will be getting ethics approval before we can start this project. If you do not provide us with ethics approval, we are unable to do any work upon your project. We'll just assume that I have ethics approval and click the next button. Once you click the test button, you'll get another screen which allows you to enter more data about your project. So at the top you see the fields which you've already filled in, the title of the project, description of the project, and the project ethics. And then we have the personnel section. In the personnel section, you can see that each project needs at a minimum a chief investigator, an invoice to, and a quote to person. And the same person can fill multiple roles. Currently, there are no people in this project. If the people who are going to fill these roles do not currently exist in our system, you can click on the Here button to create more new users. So I'll create another user. This is the same form that we saw previously. I've created a new researcher, and so we'll just close this window and get back to the tab which has the project on it. So now we can add some people to our project by clicking the Add Person button. And we'll choose the Chief Investigator to be the registration test user who created the project. As you start typing, it will give you the names which match what you've typed in already. Add that in. I can add another person for the invoice to role, and by default it uses the same user that you've typed in already. I'll just clear that and enter the new user which I've created. And finally I'll add the quote to person, the same new user. And additionally you can add people into the other roles if you wish to. Further down the screen you can add documents which can be related to your project. So to do that, you click the Browse button. You choose the document which you wish to upload. Click the Open button. Once the document is selected, you click on the Upload button. And then you can see that your document was uploaded on the 27th of November, and it is given a name, with a prefix, and then the name which the document had on your hard disk. Similarly, you can add tests which you intend to do in your project by clicking the Add Test button. And we may wish to do HLA-A typing. Click the Add button, Add Test. HLA-B, click the Add button, etc. And once you have made these changes, you can click the Save button. Once the project is saved, it will give you a summary details showing the personnel involved, the approved test, the documents uploaded, the title of the project, and the description. You may at any time download the documents which you have uploaded by simply clicking on the link. And using Internet Explorer at the bottom of the screen, it gives you the option to open or save the document or cancel. We can now go back to the home screen and look at the other options available to us. From the home screen, you can look at the projects which this user has been assigned to by clicking on the My Projects link. The registration test user has made two projects, the Exciting Research project which we created during this tutorial, plus a more exciting research project which they created earlier. You can either edit the project, look at the details of the project, or look at the progress of the project. At this point in time, the progress has not been implemented, so we can either edit or look at the details. These will simply take us back to the two screens which we've seen previously for editing and the details. If we return to the home screen, we can look at the project pending approval for the current user. If your project is pending approval, do not be concerned because there are multiple levels of approval at IIID, and work can commence on your project before the final level of approval has been granted. Returning to the home screen, the final link is to import samples. When you are going to send samples to IIID, we first require a list of the samples which you are going to send, plus some data on those samples. To get that data to us, we provide two templates which can be used to enter your data. The only difference between the two templates is the date format which is used. If you use a date format of day, month, year in your country, please choose the first template. In the US, they use month, day, year as their date format, so please choose that format if you prefer. When you choose a template by clicking on the link, it will download an Excel file to your computer. You can either open or save it. If I open that template, you see that we have a section for you to fill in, one line per sample. So for each sample you must provide all of the columns which are highlighted in green. The columns in yellow are optional and sometimes will be filled in dependent upon the type of sample that you have. So all samples must have at least one subject identifier chosen by you, at least one sample identifier, the date of collection, the sample type, the volume unit, and the test which is required to be carried out on that sample. The red triangles in the corners of these will give you extra information if you hover over them. But first you need to click on the Enable Editing button. So when we hover over the subject identifier, it tells us the required field, which uniquely identifies the subject that this specimen was taken from. Similarly, if you hover over the volume unit, it will show you the units which we accept. Sample type will show you some examples of the sample types which we accept. So you will fill in this spreadsheet, one line per sample, save it on your computer, and then what you need to do is upload that to IIID. So you upload by clicking on the Browse button. You choose the document containing the specimen inventory on the template which you have downloaded. Click it and then click Open. And you click the OK button to upload the inventory into the website. The data from the spreadsheet which you uploaded will be shown in a table on the screen. The table on the screen is only showing the data from the columns which were highlighted in green on the headings. Rest assured that the rest of the data you have entered is also uploaded to IIID, but it is not shown here for brevity's sake, to reduce the number of columns on the screen. If any of the data on the screen is printed in red, this indicates that there is an error. For example, in this sheet, no test request was entered for sample 4. If you have any errors highlighted in red, please re-edit your template sheet and reload it again and resubmit it. So in this case here, I would open the Excel sheet, enter a test, save the sheet, select the document, click OK, and now the error has disappeared. And that is the nuts and bolts of the application. If you have any further queries, please submit a question through the contact sheet and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for your time.